Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'd really appreciate it, and I promise to update daily. If you love this watch, let's get wide here, you can see it and purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. And today, we are discussing the wonderfully warm Zenith Pilot Cronometro Tipo CP-2, a flyback chronograph released late in 2017 for the 2018 model year. It was one of two pieces released in this style. One had a sort of PVD burnished aged steel aesthetic, and this one, perhaps the warmer of the two, if not terribly original, but certainly the more emotionally appealing. It's a combination of bronze with a little bit of a PVD coating and a burnishing to break up the PVD atop the bronze. It's an unusual treatment of bronze, and at least in that sense, it is a very original take on one of the materials of our moment. Now, it's a 43mm watch and a very wearable 43. You can see in the wide shot it wears easily on my 16cm circumference wrist. It's not thick and it's not thin. You're going to find that this one wears 12.9mm, so under just about any jacket cuff, you're going to be good to go. No issues there. Lug-to-lug, the watch has a span of 51.6mm, but it is a very sympathetic 51.6, good for the small wrist because of the curvature, which slopes straight down and around the wrist. The spacing between the lugs, 22mm, giving this vintage-inspired watch, which traces its design origins back to the Italian military model of 1965, but it gives the watch a modern stance with the 22mm lug spacing. Now, you will note that the strap is a special piece. It has a wonderful velvety texture. It's an oily nubuck calfskin with a contrasting aviator-style stitch, and then on the underside, it has a wonderful natural vulcanized rubber inlay that separates the oil of the strap from the oil of the wrist. Now, I don't want to deceive you here or give you the wrong idea. It's not like it's covered in olive oil and it's going to leave residue or sediments. It's simply a velvety texture when you touch it. It also has a self-healing capability, so if you do scratch it just like that, you can buff out any mark. That's the advantage of a nubuck finish. And of course, because this separates the moisture of the wrist from the leather, it'll have a long lifetime on your wrist. You can see a satin finished matching titanium pin buckle and a handsome piece. Easy adjustment on the fly, Zenith branded, not a whole lot to say about that. The case band is interesting both because it does accurately capture the slim profile of a vintage case band. Remember, the original Cronometro Tipo CP-2 Flyback was issued to the Italian military from about 1965 to 1969, and this watch copies its lines and character while increasing the build quality as well as the engineering spec with an Primero inside. What you see that's darkened is actually a PVD coating on top of the bronze base, and it's been burnished to remove a certain amount of that PVD layer to create that aged look that you see there. So it will transform dramatically as the PVD wears down in time and the bronze itself patinas. There's a handsome bevel at the tip of the lugs that helps to soften the mass of the case, and you can see Zenith guiding star with vintage pump pushers on the crown side. The dial of this watch is something special because it has a wonderful texture to it. It's a little bit like the granular texture of a Patek Philippe 5524G, and you will note that it has a gradient phase from a distinctly metallic bronze at the center to more of a brown bronze or even a black bronze at its edge. You have a vintage style set of calibrations, Arabic numerals, as well as a vintage inspired and nicely balanced bilaterally symmetrical twin register chronograph dial, cathedral style hands for minutes and hours. And you will note a Baroque counterweight to that oversized chronograph seconds hand. It is a flyback. When these first Tipo CP2 limited editions broke, this isn't part of the limited edition from 2015. This is actually the 2018 model year, but the original watch featured no flyback complication. It also featured a solid caseback. As you can see, that's not the case with this watch. Bidirectional rotating pilot style bezel. You can use it as a timing organ. I actually find this is more useful than the chronograph because chronograph minutes only go up to 30 minutes. The bezel itself can be used to measure 60 minutes elapsed. Flyback, so you can reset and restart quickly. That's a wonderful aviator's function. And on the caseback, Zenith Primero, caliber 405 Bravo. Now you can see 31 joules automatic winding, 50 to 52 hour power reserve, bidirectional winding. It has a 5 hertz or 10 beat per second rate, 36,000 vibrations per hour. And of course, it does feature a very crisp column wheel. And you can see that column wheel interacting with the levers and horns of the chronograph. You can see the clutch just under my finger moving into contact with the driving mechanism at center, and away from contact when you disengage. You can see the reset of the recentering hammers against the hard cams at center. The El Primero has always been one of the best looking automatic chronograph calibers in that you can actually see the mechanism. This is why hyper modern vertical clutch automatic chronographs aren't always the natural choice. They obscure most of the works. With the lateral clutch column wheel El Primero, you see absolutely everything. Also note two different types of screws. You have blued screws and you have polished screws. One used for adjusting the mechanism, the other used for physical assembly of the components. And the blue and the polished, the distinction to be used by your watchmaker. All of this 100 meters water resistant. It is a very versatile timepiece, and for purists out there, it hews true to the original's design with absolutely no date on the dial. See it and make a date with this watch on the watch box. Zenith Cronometro Tipo CP-2, as you can see, full loom.